Welcome to the Success Sensei Podcast for anyone interested in success, happiness, and balance. We'll teach you how to be a black belt at life. And now, your host, former professional fighter, multiple world champion, entrepreneur, and investor, Robert Devane.
Bowing in. This is Roundhouse Rob, the Success Sensei, helping you to win at life one kick and punch at a time. Episode 139. Do this if you feel you're losing. Before we get cracking into this episode, I did want to announce that we've finally got the SuccessSensei.com. That's the SuccessSensei.com website up and running at 139 episodes in, but better late than never. And you know what, if it wasn't for the quarantine, if it wasn't for COVID-19, I don't know that I would have finally taken the time to get it off the ground, because it wasn't of the utmost importance. You'd think it was of the utmost importance, and it probably should have been, but it really wasn't. So I don't know that I would have gotten it done without the help that I got to get it off the ground. And finally it's up, so I'll keep updating it. Make sure you check it out, the SuccessSensei.com. Right, on to this one, episode 139, as I said. Do this if you feel you're losing. So if you feel you're losing what? Well, especially if you feel you're losing at life, definitely do this. If you feel you're losing in business, or if you feel you're losing in a fight, you feel like you're losing and you're not going to be able to win. You're too far gone. It's not that you're giving up, it's just that you have been outclassed or outskilled or outmaneuvered, or your skill set is just not sufficient to carry you through to victory. So it's inevitable that you're going to lose. Ego aside, you're just not losing. What can you do? Well, I'll give you an option. It's not the option that I'm going to suggest you go with, but I give you an option. You can double down. You can ramp up your aggression. A lot of people try that. So they're losing. So what they do is they literally try to have an extra burst of energy, an extra burst of aggression. They try to double down and they try to carry on regardless, even stronger than before, and they try to get the win. As I said, I'm not just necessarily talking about fighting. We're talking about life. We're talking about business. We're talking about everything. Now, the problem with that strategy is it's not a high percentage success rate. Can it work? Yes. Oh, absolutely it can work, but it's not a high percentage. It's not a definite. Well, none of it's a definite when you're losing, but that certainly isn't a definite. I don't know, put a percentage on it. If you're losing and you can manage to ramp up aggression, even though you, as I said, you've been outskilled or outmaneuvered or outclassed, you know, what are your chances, do you think? 10%, 20% max? You know, you do have a chance. And if that is it, I'm not saying don't go with that. Do what you have to do to win. But that's not the one I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting, if you're already losing, then you've got nothing to lose. So therefore, do something completely different. Pivot in a completely different direction. Do the unexpected. Do something that's surprising, throw in a wild card, go for a kamikaze maneuver, try something completely different. As I said, if you're already losing, then what have you got to lose? You're already going to be losing. So if it's just a case that you think you still have a chance to win, then follow that through, obviously, and don't give up. But we're talking about, you know, you're going to lose. You know you're getting beaten. You know it mightn't be an opponent, could be a situation. You're going to lose. If you take a step back and you don't let your ego trip you up, and you actually look at the scenario and realize that you don't have a hope of winning, maybe it's the time to completely pivot and do something completely random and something completely different. So let's bring it back to fighting. Fighting is what I know. Fighting is what all my life lessons, where they come from. And maybe you'll be able to, whether you've done martial arts or not, you'll probably be able to relate to this. So there are techniques and strategies that you can employ if you are not going to win the fight. You could be tired, you could be injured, you could be frustrated, you could just be fighting a higher caliber of opponent. Hard to admit that to yourself, certainly. what can you do? If you're getting beaten, you're getting hurt, you're running out of steam, you're running out of stamina, you're running out of energy, there are techniques that you can throw. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Superman punch. You can certainly throw a Superman punch, like a jumping punch. You can throw a big overhand right, hope that it lands, like a big Hail Mary punch, hope that it lands. You can throw something with reckless abandon. Now, something that works consistently in this kind of an environment, in a competitive fighting scenario, is the spinning back fist. Have you seen it? Do you ever watch fights? It doesn't matter if you have or not. I'll describe it for you. So basically, with a good tight guard, you step around backwards while wildly, well, it looks like it's wild, but it's actually not really, using your body weight, landing and spinning with your back fist. It's called a back fist, but it could be a hammer fist. When I throw it, I use the hammer part of my hand because it lands a hell of a lot harder. If you were a traditional karate guy, you'd probably call it a spinning back knuckle, because you hit with the knuckles on the back of your hand, like a back fist, like a Bruce Lee punch, except for you're spinning into it. It helps when your opponent is fully committed to a combination or attack. It works best if your opponent is kicking, because we all know, as much as we train against it, when we throw a kick, we temporarily drop our hands. Even if you've got the best guard in the world, they slightly lower and you're more susceptible. When you're attacking somebody, you're more susceptible to getting hit. With this kind of a technique, you throw with reckless abandon. You absolutely fly into it. Ordinarily, in amateur martial arts, they tell you've got to turn your head first and see where you're landing. But in professional sports and professional combat sports, and for this to work, you don't do that. You can't use any precursor movements that's going to let your opponent know what you're going to do. It's the same if you're going to do this in business or in life. Do not advertise your wild card before you pull your wild card out. You've just got to be fully committed and go for it. So with the spinning back fist, there's many times I've seen fighters, I could have been on the end of it, beating myself in training, and suddenly pulled out a spinning back fist out of nowhere and gotten the upper hand in the situation. I've certainly seen it in professional fighting, an opponent losing bad and looking like he didn't have a chance, and next thing, out of nowhere, pulling this spinning back fist and it hitting the target and knocking his opponent clean out and winning the fight. Can you imagine how ecstatic this fighter was, knowing that he was losing, using this Hail Mary technique, as some people call it, using this spinning back fist and suddenly getting the win? You could imagine he was super elated. But it's the same for you. You could change direction and do something completely wild. If you're losing, you've got nothing else to lose, really. You've got nothing to lose if you're already losing. Certainly have fun thinking about the strategies and the wildcard strategies that you could employ for your situation. Do you know what? If you feel you're losing, even that exercise alone, the exercise of really thinking up random approaches to solve your problems, to solve your losing scenario, can give you the morale to be able to succeed. They can, if nothing else, cheer you up. And a positive morale is the first step towards handling any of the adversity that we face in life. If you feel you're losing in any area and you definitely know that you don't have this one, what else have you got to lose? You may as well give it a try. Certainly consult other people, but keep your cards too close to your chest. Don't consult the people that could do you direct harm in the scenario. Don't let people know your plans. Or else you could give them the position, or you could give them the opportunity to directly affect what you're trying to pull off, to directly sabotage what it is that you want to do, especially if it's going to be a wild card, unexpected, surprising, kamikaze pivot in a completely different direction. As I said, have fun with it. Look at your problems in so many different ways. Analyze them. It's all about the strategy. Become a good strategist. Think on paper if you have to. If you've never played chess before, give it a go. Even if you just go for drafts and you think chess is a little bit too highbrow for you, go with drafts. But there has to be a strategy involved. Have a go on Monopoly. Play your game of Monopoly again. Play your game of life. Get yourself in the zone to think of strategies and enjoy strategizing. If you read any of the historical books or look at any of the documentaries about war, there have been some absolutely fabulous strategists throughout history. Whether on the good side or the bad side, we won't get into, but get used to strategy. It's what's going to help you with your goals. By the way, strategy doesn't have to be manipulating other people, or it doesn't have to be anything shady or negative or any. So get that out of your mind. Don't associate these negative connotations with your own development or your own progress, because you'll shoot yourself in the foot before you've gotten started. Have fun coming up with some wild card ideas and enjoy the process. If nothing else, have a laugh at the process. See that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can win. Absolutely. You can change direction and win in a completely different format to what anyone was expecting. Thank you for listening. I'm Roundhouse Rob, the Success Sensei. Life is a fight you can enjoy and win. Bowing out.
This has been the Success Sensei, fighting the winning fight. So add us, subscribe, like, and comment. Keep those hands up and keep moving forward.